Okay, so today we're going to do a deep dive into something kind of interesting. It's about the FBI
Okay.
and the January 6th investigation. We've got this article that we're looking at, and it's talking about a questionnaire that they sent out to FBI employees,
Interesting.
and it's about their involvement with the January 6th investigation.
Okay.
And when you first look at it, it kind of seems procedural, kind of like, okay, fine, you're just checking in. But it's actually sparked this whole big debate.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of what we're going to look at today.
Yeah, what's interesting about this is it really isn't just about, getting information. It's actually kind of looking at the effects of this whole investigation on the FBI itself, which is pretty big. And the questionnaire is super detailed.
Yeah.
I mean, they're asking agents about all kinds of things, like their roles in the investigation, if
Yeah.
they've testified in trials, if they worked on grand jury subpoenas. I mean, like,
Whoa. Yeah. When I was reading about just how broad this questionnaire is, it made me think, like, this isn't just like a routine follow-up. This is like a deep dive internal audit.
Yeah. It is.
What do you think about why they might be doing this kind of comprehensive review?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And, a lot of people have some concerns about this. Like former Justice Department officials have even said that they're worried about this kind of chilling effect.
A chilling effect.
On the FBI's work because of this whole thing.
Yeah. So can you break down what chilling effect means for our listeners who might not know?
So think of it this way. Imagine you're an FBI agent and you're working on a sensitive case,
Really?
something that has maybe political implications.
Okay.
And you know that everything you're doing, every decision is going to be looked at so closely later on.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make you kind of hesitant to even pursue some things?
Of course. Yeah.
So that's that chilling effect,
So basically you're saying that because they're afraid of what might happen later, they might not fully investigate things now.
Exactly.
That's wild. And, what does that mean for the future of law enforcement?
That's a huge question.
Yeah.
I mean, think about what happened, back with COINTELPRO during the civil rights movement.
Right.
They really overreached, and then there was all this scrutiny, and it led to a lot of reforms and more emphasis on oversight so that they wouldn't do that again.
Okay.
I mean, this isn't the same situation, but it does kind of bring up those same questions, like how do you balance accountability with making sure that the agency can still do their investigations?
Yeah. That makes sense. Now, one thing I did want to mention is that there was another viewpoint on this.
Okay.
There was this retired FBI agent who was quoted saying that everyone's overreacting. He thinks the investigation was done correctly and that it led to convictions. So everything was done by the book.
Okay.
So how does that argument fit in here?
Well, he makes a good point.
Yeah.
Because it is important to have due process and to make sure that everything's done fairly.
Right.
But I think it also makes you wonder, can an investigation, even if it was done the right way, still end up having consequences that nobody planned for? Like it casts a shadow,
So even if the investigation was justified, the fact that they're doing this big questionnaire now could end up having a ripple effect that they didn't mean to start.
Exactly.
Oh.
And here's where it gets even more complex.
Okay.
Because you have to think about the political side of things.
Right.
And what former President Trump has been saying adds another whole layer to this.
This is where it gets really interesting. So Trump has refused to answer these questions about if he'd remove FBI agents who were involved in the January 6th investigation. And he even called the FBI corrupt and said that his nominee would straighten it out.
Yeah. And those are pretty strong words. And they mean something, especially coming from a former president.
Right.
It makes you think, what does that do to the public's trust in the FBI?
Yeah.
Does it make people think that they're playing politics?
Definitely adds fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
And what about the agents who are actually doing the work?
Right.
How do they deal with all of this?
That is a tough one. I mean, how do you keep an institution like the FBI independent and doing its job when there are so many political forces pulling on it?
Yeah.
From all different sides.
It's a lot to think about. So we've got this unusual questionnaire.
Right.
And the possibility of a chilling effect on investigations.
Yeah.
And different opinions on whether the investigation was even legit.
Right.
And then this whole political cloud hanging over everything.
It's a complicated situation, and there aren't any easy answers, but as you learn more about this, I want you to think about what this could mean in the long term.
Okay.
Could this make it harder for the FBI to do sensitive investigations in the future without feeling pressure from politicians?
Yeah.
And could it even lead to people not trusting investigations into political things,
Right.
whether they're actually biased or not?
Right.
These are things to really think about.
Wow. It's like we started with this one story, and it's opened up all these other questions that are all connected.
Definitely.
So we've given you a lot to think about today.
Yeah, we have.
And we hope you keep learning more about this and come to your own conclusions.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.
See you next time.